This time I have 3 images open in Camera Raw. We're going to start things off in View from Alcatraz 2. Now, before we leave the basic panel, I want to show you a few tools that are available to you up here in the toolbar. Starting with the spot removal tool and ending with the graduated filter, we have a collection of 4 tools that allow you to brush in modifications inside of Camera Raw. So I'll start by demonstrating spot removal. It's pretty easy to use. The idea, let's say I want to get rid of whatever this thing is, whether it's a piece of camera gook or something falling off this tree or some weird shaped bird. Let's say I want to get rid of it. Well, what you do is instead of brushing, you drag a circle around it like so. And then you decide where your source should be. So green is source, red is destination. I'll go ahead and move the source over to this location, set the type to heal. If you'd prefer to clone instead, you can do that. But healing is going to generally blend in the information better. And then I've got something else somewhere else here. There's this bird right there. I just don't like him. So I'll go ahead and drag something around him as well and drag this cursor to a different location. If you ever think better of one of your spot healings here and you want to get rid of it, then you press the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac and click on the item in order to delete it. But in my case, I liked it, so I'll go ahead and press Control Z or Command Z on the Mac in order to regain that spot healing. You can also turn off your overlays, by the way, and you do that either by deselecting this checkbox or by pressing the V key, as you can see in that tooltip. All right, the next tool over is the red eye removal tool. If you have red eye inside of one of your photographs, then just go ahead and select the tool, click on the pupil, cross your fingers, and hope for the best. All right, now I'm going to switch over to the first thumbnail, Glanum Ruins. And I've already applied a few basic modifications to this image. To check them out, by the way, if you ever want to switch back to the standard panel set, then you just tap the Z key in order to select the zoom tool, which is the default tool inside of Camera Raw. And all of your options will be reinstated, and we can see that I modified the shadows and the highlights and so forth inside this image. And originally, by the way, this image was in pretty bad shape. If I switch over to snapshots, you can see that I've created a bunch of snapshots over time for this image, including default settings. This is what the image looked like when I first opened it. So pretty darn ugly. Now it looks like this if you click on ACR7 conversion. All right, now I'm going to switch back to my basic panel. And what I want to do is brighten up this foreground even more and also neutralize the sky, because thanks to the fact that I cranked up the temperature value in order to reinstate the natural colors of these pillars, I ended up making the neutral portion of the clouds really super brown. So we need to take care of both of these items, and we're going to do so using the graduated filter. So you can get to it by pressing the G key, and then I'm going to drag from right about here up to here, like so. And I was pressing the Shift key during that drag, so I have a perfectly vertical gradient. Green represents the beginning of the modification, and red represents the end. And of course, it gradually dissipates in the area in between. Now, you may end up getting a warning telling you that you need to modify some value here inside the graduated filter panel. Go ahead and do so, and then try to draw your gradient again. Now, all I'm seeing is the last stuff I was messing around with, none of which has anything to do with this image. So I'm going to go ahead and zero out these values. And what's amazing about this is that you can do it. So you can't create a gradient until you enter some values, but then after you've created the gradient, you can go ahead and zero out the values, which doesn't make any sense, but there it is. I'm going to take that exposure value up to 0.5 by pressing Shift up arrow. And then I'm going to take the contrast value down in order to brighten up the scene a little bit more. And I'm going to take the shadows value up, let's say to plus 50, and then I'll take the clarity value up to plus 50 as well, so that we emphasize the effect of these ancient carved pillars. And then finally, I'm going to change the temperature value. So much of this, by the way, is new to Camera Raw 7. In particular, the fact that you can change temperature and tint, which we've needed for a long time, where the graduated filter and the adjustment brush are concerned. So this is really welcome stuff here. All right, so that takes care of the pillars. Now let's take care of the sky, and I'm going to drag from right about here downward, like so, until we meet up with the end of the previous gradient. And you know what? I'm going to take it all the way down to the bottom of the sky. What the heck? All right, and all I need to do here, I'm going to go ahead and zero out these values because I'm not interested in darkening the sky or brightening the sky. I want to take this temperature value down, and I'm going to take it down to -50 a point at which the sky looks pretty darn neutral. So just to give you a sense of what we were able to accomplish, I'll press the V key in order to hide the overlays. And of course, you can just press V to bring them back again. And then I'll turn off the preview checkbox. And the preview checkbox, by the way, controls the display of just those settings in the active panel. So in other words, I'm just temporarily turning off the graduated filter and nothing more. And now I'll turn it back on, and we have what I consider to be a much better effect. And so now I'm going to press the Z key in order to switch back to the zoom tool so I get back all my panels. I'll switch over to snapshots. I'll go ahead and click on the page icon, and I'll call this graduated ACR7 because this is the newest version of this effect for me. And now, just to give you a sense of how far we've come with this image since I first opened it, here are the default settings. Oh, just terrible. And here is the effect of the work that we've done. So that's how you work with the spot removal tool as well as the graduated filter. In the next movie, I'll show you how to work with the most complex of the tools, which is the adjustment brush.